You need gold, lots of it, and I'm going to show you exactly how you can get tons of gold in the early game. Alrighty, let's get started. Fishing is an incredibly good source of income. In the early game, basically nothing can compare to fishing. There's a little trick that you can do to make fishing very lucrative in the early game. You will get your first fishing pole on the second day in a brand new playthrough. Get to the beach as early as possible on the second day and fish with the bamboo fishing rod until it's 9 AM and the Willie's store is open. Then enter his store, buy a training fishing rod, then fish right there on the beach. The training fishing rod will only cause easy fish to bite, and you can accelerate the amount of experience you can get by only catching perfect catches. Since the fish are easier, it is easier to get perfect catches using the training rod. Continue to do this until you have made enough gold to buy a fiberglass rod. You will need about 2,000 gold because you will also need to buy some bait. Do not underestimate bait. Bait is just amazing as it will cause fish to bite 50% faster when compared to fishing without bait. It is pretty hard, but you can actually catch enough fish to buy a fiberglass fishing rod before Willie closes his store for the day. By the time you have made enough gold to buy the fiberglass fishing rod, you will definitely be level 2 fishing, and that is a requirement for you to be able to purchase the fiberglass fishing rod. Then you can spend the rest of the day catching fish at an accelerated rate, and if you are really lucky, you will easily reach level 5 fishing all within a single day. I only managed to reach level 4 fishing, but that will already give me a great advantage for the third day in a playthrough, since it is guaranteed to rain on the third day, and since the mines are not unlocked yet, the only thing we can do is fish. Since we have bait, we can fish right over here in front of Emily's house. Here you can catch some really valuable fish, and if you're skilled enough, you can even catch some catfish. They are probably one of the most valuable fish at this stage of the game. I only managed to catch 3 catfish because catching these guys with a small fishing bar is actually pretty tough. Continue to fish for the rest of the day and then fish the entire 4th day as well. On the 1st day, fishing in front of the mines will result in you catching the most profitable fish. All of this fishing is definitely worth it since there's nothing else to do until the 5th day. After selling all of my fish from these 2 days of fishing, I managed to make a very impressive 6,200 gold. That might not seem like much, but we can upgrade our backpack on the day that the mines open, and we can buy tons of seeds on the day that our parsnips are ready for harvesting. So doing this is just incredibly worth it. Once you have progressed through the game a little bit, you will eventually be able to craft preservation bins. And these things are probably one of the best ways to make tons of gold in the early game. You'll unlock the recipe to craft preservation bins at level 4 farming. They are a little bit pricey to craft as they need 50 wood, 40 stone, and 8 coal each. Fortunately for us, all of these resources are sold at a reduced rate in the early game. Or you can just get these resources on your own by planting trees, getting some stone in the mines, and grinding for some coal on the ice levels by defeating dust sprites. Then just make sure that all of your preservation bins are always filled with crops. I usually try and get as many as I can by fall, and then I fill all of my preservation bins with pumpkins. Unfortunately, you need money to make money. Buying tons of pumpkin seeds early into fall is pretty pricey, but it is well worth the effort. It is true that cranberries are slightly worth more when compared to pumpkins. However, in the early game, you probably won't have enough preservation bins to process all of your cranberries efficiently. Now this tip is going to sound pretty difficult to pull off, but it is definitely possible to pull this off within your first year. You can leverage rain totems to water considerably more crops than you can water yourself. Rain totems seem a little bit expensive in the early game, and you will only get the recipe for rain totems once you have reached level 9 foraging. To level up your foraging skill much faster, you should always plant your wild seeds that you get from completing the foraging fishing bundles in the community center. To make it level up faster, you can craft your own wild seeds by using one of each type of forageable to craft 10 wild seeds. Planting wild seeds will cause forageables to grow, and when you harvest them, you will get foraging experience instead of farming experience. You can quite easily reach level 10 foraging within your first spring, and it could be a pretty decent chunk of extra money since you won't need to buy these seeds. To craft rain totems, you will need 1 hardwood, 1 truffle oil, and 5 pine tar. These resources sound extremely valuable and hard to obtain in the early game, but it isn't as hard as it seems. What I like to do is set up 20 pine trees with tappers on them. You should set up these as soon as possible so that you can stockpile pine tar before you even have the rain totem recipe. For hardwood, you just need to upgrade your axe twice and collect some hardwood from the secret woods every day. The truffle oil is where this gets extra tricky. Truffle oil is created from truffle, and to get truffles, you are going to need a deluxe barn and a pig. A deluxe barn will cost you a total of 43,000 gold and 1,350 wood and 650 stone. Yeah, I know this sounds extremely expensive, but it will unlock so much potential for your farm. It is just worth the grind. Ideally, you need to get your deluxe barn up and running with at least 1 pig in it before fall starts, so that you can abuse rain totems in fall when it is pumpkin season. Now that you have everything you need, craft as many rain totems as you can and plant as many pumpkins as you can afford. Don't worry about sprinklers or about watering them, because we will be using a rain totem every single day to keep them all watered. It might seem that just selling the ingredients for the rain totem will make you more money, but mathematically, you only need 70 pumpkins to turn a profit. Naturally, we will be planting much more than 70 pumpkins, and my math is based on regular pumpkins and not on pickled pumpkins, so we can make a killing by watering more crops than we can manually using rain totems. This method of making gold in the early game is not that easy, but if you get it just right, you will be set for gold extremely early in your playthrough. Don't underestimate the little things that won't make you tons of gold, but will make you a decent amount of gold, like honey, cheese, and mayonnaise. Setting your farm up to produce honey is really easy. All you need to do is place some bee houses around a flower, and there you go. Now you have some flower honey. Mayonnaise and cheese is more or less the same. Get yourself some chickens and cows, and fill up the cheese press and the mayonnaise machine with the appropriate animal products. And you can come back the next day to collect your produce and fill it up again. You could quite easily finish all of these small tasks around your farm within an hour. You will find that you will very quickly start to stockpile on these goods, and once you actually do sell them, you will be quite surprised to see that they can and will make you a decent amount of gold. Sure, planting starfruit will make you more gold, but spending an hour a day doing these fast, quick tasks can definitely pay off in the long run. So, those are the big strategies that you can do early on to make tons of money. But here are some quick smaller tips to maximize your earnings in a new playthrough. Unlock the right side of the beach as early as possible. It only costs 300 wood to repair the bridge, and you will gain access to tons of extra forageables. And not any forageables, these are forageables that will sell for a decent amount of gold in the early game. Over time in your playthrough, you will eventually start to stockpile tons of random things that you probably won't really use later on in your playthrough, like random forageables after you have already donated them to the community center, and valuable gems like topaz and emeralds. You don't have to hoard these things, just keep at least one of them and sell the rest. The extra bit of gold can go a long way, especially if you have a lot of stuff to sell. Upgrade your inventory space as soon as you can. Being limited in inventory space can really set you back if you constantly need to decide which items to throw away. Alternatively, you can place a chest right next to the elevator in the regular mines. Then every 5 levels, you can quickly leave the mines, drop off all of your loot, and continue from the floor you were just on. Your movement speed in Stardew Valley is slow. There is no denying it. It is just pretty slow. Luckily for us, you can build a stable pretty early into your playthrough as it only costs 100 hardwood, 5 silver bars, and 10,000 gold. Being able to move around faster around the world is always a good little bonus. And those are some strategies and tips for making money in the early game. Not everyone's goal in Stardew Valley is to be rich, but you will need money to progress regardless. So hopefully these tips have helped you plan out your next playthrough. If you like this video, consider hitting that subscribe button. But for now, I will see you in the next video.